We're good.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Economic Development Commission meeting for February of 2025. We're going to do a roll call vote. Call to order, roll call. So, Director McLaughlin,
Hello.
Michelle House is out. Tony Oto here. Gada Fahmy.
Here.
JP Ochbaum.
Here.
Larry Calvert.
Here.
Ethan Tudor Leon. Patrice Gallagher.
Here.
And John Drogos.
Here.
Trustee Kumar. Not here yet. Okay. We have enough quorum. We can move on to, if everybody has a moment, to check over the minutes of the January meeting. And when somebody has a chance, get a motion to approve those minutes. Okay, motion approved. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Moves on to new business, 3A discussion, DCEO opportunities and support. We have Joe McEwen. I think he's going to talk to us about that.
Yeah, just a real quick introduction. So I know I've been talking with some of the members of the EDC on what is next, how does this group grow, what are some of the things we can do. And Joe and I have got a professional relationship up 15 years now that we've been working together. So I thought maybe reaching out to him and letting him talk about his experiences of what he does at the DCEO level, as well as how he supports other municipalities and other EDC quasi-organizations for other towns, more as like a best practice and what he's seen. So
Awesome.
I just wanted to give him the ability to just talk and answer questions, and no hesitation. He will answer anything you ask him. Great guy. So I will turn it over, but he's got a whole spiel for you.
Very, very informal. I'll keep it very informal.
Yeah.
One of my roles is to work with communities to help communities grow businesses. Like I say, we don't directly create jobs. Like I say, we maybe indirectly create jobs by promoting programs that we have to help companies grow. In the past and currently, I work with a lot of communities with the economic development directors, their economic development commissions, just to get the word out about our programs. I'm happy to always go visit businesses in the community, and that works. That works. You maybe a member from the board could go out with the economic development director and maybe another member of staff. Just let the companies know you're there. You're there to work with them. You're there to help them. Hear their issues. Sometimes meetings can go very long. Sometimes they're short, but it's good. It's good to be very engaged with the businesses in the community. I work with a lot of industrial, manufacturing companies, distribution companies, retail, all the businesses. But we have programs geared towards each type of business. Our agency partnered with local banks to get lower interest financing for businesses. We have tax credits for industrial companies, distribution companies, headquarters companies looking to expand. We've really made a big push in the state to bring electric vehicles in, electric vehicle manufacturing, microchip semiconductor manufacturing, energy components, electric vehicle components, like charging station companies that manufacture this stuff. And there's robust programs for these companies, and there's robust programs for these companies, and they're going to stay. They're here. These programs are here. They're not going anywhere. They're state programs. I want to be helpful to the community and to the Economic Development Commission to get out there and meet the businesses too. I'll keep going, but are there any questions?
I have a question. So Joe, thank you for being here and sharing that. When you said an organization, who do you work for? You work for yourself?
I work for the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm with the State of Illinois Department of Commerce, Office of Regional Economic Development.
That's the DCEO.
Okay, yeah.
Another acronym.
Yep.
And then your job title?
Northeast Region Manager.
Okay.
So my region covers from Indiana to Wisconsin, from Lake Michigan to DeKalb County on one side, McHenry, and Grundy County.
Okay,
So we're basically, there's three of us right now in the Northeast region. And we share roles, we bounce around a lot. I live out west. We have a couple other members that are in Chicago, so they're more, they come out this way, definitely. But I'm out here a lot. I'm in this area a lot. I like coming out here. I like getting out of the office and coming out, meeting with businesses and meeting with communities.
wonderful. I have another question unless somebody else has.
No, please.
Go for it.
Is it, do you get federal funds or is that all state funded?
These programs I work with, a lot of the programs I work with are state funded. There are some federal funded programs in our agency, but right now, everything right now is moving forward. Some of our loan programs were federally funded, but we've had tranches of money that have recirculated. So the loan programs that we participate with, those started coming in, I believe it was 2010, and the money's recirculated a couple times. So the SSBCI, the State Small Business Credit Initiative are federally funded. But like I said, the money's come in, so we just recirculated it.
Okay, and then, we were already doing this, has it been a year now or longer?
With the retention for this?
Yeah.
Longer, I mean.
Well, before you came, it was right before you came, and, here.
Mhm.
And it was that like a year, how long have you been here?
Over two.
2 years ago.
So when it was, right before March, so I went out to these businesses, JP, you did too, I remember. And, the whole mission was to, Villa Park's here to support you, so here's our list of questions, and usually you never got around to those questions, I think you were saying, you just end up having conversations. and-
Exactly, yeah.
but I came back feeling there are no tools for me to support you. So hopefully we can talk about that.
Yeah, we do have tools in our agency, and there's other support agencies. There's another organization for industrial companies, manufacturing companies, Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center, and they're a part of National Institute of Standards and Technology, which falls under the U.S. Department of Commerce. They're non-for-profit. They might charge a little bit, but they do training. They do ISO training, lean training, or they help companies become more lean for manufacturing, and there's organizations out there too that we work very closely with that always happy to come in and just do an evaluation on the companies too, and these are more for the, like I said, industrial geared.
Yes.
But the retail programs are more like the loan programs, the financing programs.
So then, my final question, sorry.
Oh no,
But
go ahead.
this
No,
was
I'm
always a
please.
subject, because it was,
For
I
now.
love going out, like you said, you love going out, and talking.
It gets me
I
out of the
love it.
office, for
Yeah,
sure.
and then you realize how many people you know. But, have you guys already kind of discussed where you think you want this to go?
We did a little bit of highlight reel, but then we're gonna see what happens here.
Okay, thank you, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to be out here. Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us how the retail, like the loan programs, how have they worked in the past?
Oh, they've been very successful. So basically, we have there's two types of programs. There's the State Small Business Credit Initiative, Part 2, and there's a Part 1. So it's called the Advantage Illinois Loan Program. And if the business is minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, disability-owned, the state might be able to participate on 50% of the loan at a 2% rate. If they don't fall into that category, the state can participate and get the interest rate down 2 points.
Okay.
Below what the bank is giving.
Offering.
It's with so the first Advantage Illinois is minority, women, veteran, disability. The second Advantage Illinois it falls under SETI, which is socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. And so that's a little more expansive on individuals with they feel they've been marginalized because of language. English might not be their first language. Individuals that are in rural, this isn't rural, so rural areas, but it's more expansive than just minority, women, veteran, and disability. But right now, with the original tranche of money we got from the federal government, it's recirculated. So we still have that money. We still have that money going.
Okay, the initial.
What's the cap on the loan amount for the
Several million.
2%?
Yeah, it's a couple million.
Okay.
But it's 50% of the loan.
Sure.
So, but it's till it runs out and then we
Mm-hmm.
back.
So, Joe, did your federal portion of funding stop like everybody else?
It has not yet.
Oh, wow.
So, I don't want, it's business, with the state, it's business as usual right now. But, we're moving forward like we always move forward. We're not preaching fear and doom or anything, or, we're not preaching good or bad. We're still doing what we're doing and we still have money, what we're doing, so.
Although I did hear part of Pritzker's talk today, and he did say something about, we're gonna have to face the state paying for some things that we have not had to before because of those federal funds. I'm just wondering how that.
Yeah, the tax credits programs we have, they're still going.
Excellent.
We have various venture capital programs too, for businesses that incentivize investors to invest into these innovative high growth companies too. These investors can receive, tax credits, but the companies have to be principally engaged in innovation. That's another really neat program. I can kind of touch on some of the programs too.
Whatever you
Please.
sure.
Got
Good.
time,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So, some of our tax credit programs we have the EDGE tax credit, which is the Economic Development for a Growing Economy program. This is a tax credit based on new jobs created by a company. And it's a tax credit based off the withholding tax of the newly created jobs. So, and if a company has more than 100 employees, they have to make a minimal investment of $2.5 million, and they have to create 10% of worldwide employment or 50 new jobs. They can receive a 50%, the credit is based off of 50% of the withholding tax of the newly created jobs. That can come back to the company in the form of a corporate tax credit. They also get a 10% kicker on the training costs. It's a 10-year program, and this is basically for companies to incentivize them to grow and stay in Illinois.
So 50% of the
4.95% withholding tax
for 10 years.
for 10 years, yeah. But they have to hit the numbers. They have to,
Yeah.
in 2 years, they have to create,
Yeah,
And
that's substantial.
it's huge, it's huge.
And if they qualified for that and they had TIF funding from Villa Park, can they have both?
They could, but the problem that comes up with, the thing is if the tax credit's based on the project would not occur without the tax credit.
Okay.
So we do have rules where they cannot announce the project, and sometimes if you're gonna give them TIF funds, the project might be announced, it might blow the project. So this is to incentivize them growing, and if we have to be accountable to the taxpayers and say that if for them to get they're gonna stay here if they already get the TIF funds. So but,
Unless they need both.
yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Usually our TIF funds that we produce and things are much lower than that tax credit ever would be for a firm that size, is what I'm guessing. And
They would
so,
opt for that.
honestly, if there is someone who qualified, that should be the first go-to. And
Primary.
maybe, Mark, since you are our go-to guy, we will send them over there first. And if they're not eligible, then they apply for TIF or they apply for TIF.
You sound like you worked with a
later.
program before. Do you know? You sound like it actually.
I-
You know a little bit about it.
I know a lot about a lot of things.
I was being complimentary though, 'cause you actually said what I was about to say.
Yeah, so that's, well, I'm an economist, so
Okay,
kind of
gotcha,
that
okay.
helps. And I'm on the board, which also helps, two aspects. So I think, that's the suggestion, that would be the first go-to for a bigger business, cause you're talking about 2.5 million, which is a considerable investment, plus you're talking about, at least 50 new employees added.
Yeah.
So that is also a bigger business, so
Yeah,
that would
for
be what they get out of the TIF may not be even close to what they get out of this program.
It'd be
So
more advantageous to actually go for that.
that
Right.
first.
Yep.
And if they want their windows redone later, that
Yeah.
can go through the
Yeah.
TIF.
Yeah, come on in,
yeah. Once the TIF money comes in from where they are, so these are all possibilities, so I think, I think the connection is wonderful. I think, having Mark know and who to go to and, can run it by us also as the EDC. And I think there's a bunch of minority women and women on this board who are in business also and have their own connections. And I feel that that statement was helpful, for getting that word out to multiple people. We are a community full of a lot of women businesses and more recently, some really, and so I think the tax advantages and the loan program is definitely something we can put out there for people to know, and it might be easy for them to set up their business in that way. Cause there is a considerable growth, I think, since I got on the board of such businesses.
Great. Now, retail would not fall under, but like healthcare hospitals would not, but distribution headquarters could be expansive.
Right.
So, but now there's another aspect too. If the company has 100 employees or less, they would have to create 5% of worldwide employment, or and there's no minimal investment, but the total credit cannot exceed the total investment.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
The biggest, I think, trouble we have is our area for such businesses
Well,
is
that's- yeah,
small.
it's-
in
I was like,
town.
do we have any
Yeah,
spaces that would
we
fall
don't
under
have
that?
that much commercial space, which would
Right.
be our ideal space for such businesses. So it's more a turnover of some of the older businesses that may have been lost and kind of refilling them in a sense, and that's how we have to look, I think, because we don't have the same commercial space as some other communities at large, and that's
Industrial
We also have a
yeah.
high minority population, so I think we could take advantage of that for getting loans,
Absolutely,
Yeah,
we
so-
do. We have probably one of the most diverse we do, I think.
Yeah.
I think in this location, we're like almost 30 in terms of population, minority, and in Villa Park. So that is actually something the loans are going to be, very advantageous. Is that also capped at that same 2 point? How does the loan structure is different, or what is that?
The loan structure is 2%. 2%. We take on 50% of the loan at a 2% rate.
Yeah, see, that's an unbelievable
Which,
like
if a
boost.
bank's giving you 10 and we jump in at 50% of that, that
Yeah,
comes out to about 6%.
Yeah,
which is huge.
that's a higher for a year,
Yeah, that's-
basically. That makes a big difference to a business starting out.
Yeah.
That's, one extra person you can take on
Yeah.
to run your business. I think Tony might be able to tell us about that a little bit more than us. But, that's the key here.
Do
Yeah,
you
no,
guys
that's-
supply like educational material on these programs?
Yes,
So
I can send them out to
the
everybody.
library and stuff like that, and, like,
Yeah, our website, but our
Okay.
website's, I could put together, I could email it out to
Okay,
everybody if that works.
Yeah.
Our website, sometimes if you go in there, it's a lot of stuff on our website, so just getting around our
yeah,
website.
I was thinking something in like a print format that we could have like a brochure for people, something.
Definitely,
Yeah.
for sure.
And if you could kind of target it towards, give us a little feel on what it's for. Because the thing, I think the library's great at getting out material. But they just need a little bit more, this is for people trying to start a business of this type.
Yeah.
This is for that will help them kind of
Yeah.
get that material out in the proper fashion.
Yeah.
The,
Go ahead, no, please, go ahead, Jeff.
the other program too under this EDGE, this Economic Development for a Growing Economy, it's called EDGE for Startups.
Uh-huh.
And it's similar to the other EDGE. Instead, the tax credit, if the company has no corporate tax liability, the credit goes to the withholding tax. So basically, it would be, we'd say 50% of the withholding tax would probably go into a pool, and then they wouldn't have to pay 50% moving forward on these once they obtain a corporate tax liability, then it reverts to a corporate tax credit. And the definition of a startup under that program is companies 10 years or less.
So as long as they're reporting zero income, then at that point, they can use it to tax credit, towards like a build-up fund for the payments, for their employees. Okay.
It's been very successful. We also have other programs that are similar. They have the similar structure about the withholding tax, but it's geared towards microchip semiconductor companies that manufacture parts for microchip semiconductors. It's called the micro program.
Mhm.
And then the other one is called REV, Reimagining Energy and Vehicles. And it's geared towards electric vehicles, energy, or components that go into the end product of an electric vehicle or energy components. So
Yeah, I have great hopes for that recently because of the increase in energy efficient production that's gonna happen in the next year or two. I think there's there was Tesla and one other vehicle before, and now there's like a whole host
we
that
see
you
Rivian
can.
too.
Yeah, there's like, other than,
Illinois.
Ford and,
What's that?
Illinois,
Illinois, yeah.
Rivian.
I mean, every single company now, it seems like, has electric vehicles. I mean, I saw some Cadillacs, electric Cadillacs, and every single company has gone into it.
So, I mean, so I'm very hopeful for the growth of that, And
I know
great if it comes into Villa Park also in some way or form.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just the little box somewhere, it would be great that if we had some production of that sort.
And the whole microchip semiconductor has been an issue for many years.
Yes,
And so I'm glad Illinois took the lead on that program, and it's robust. It's robust. It's withholding. It's on the withholding. It's against withholding, or benefit the withholding. And then there's other factors. There's other programs that are attached to that. The Blue Collar Jobs Act, which is if they're doing construction, it's a tax credit to the company, not to the construction company, but to the project company. It's a tax credit on the construction jobs. They get a percentage of the withholding tax of the construction workers that are working on the building back to the company. It's robust. I mean, and this is it doesn't always have to be a new company. It could be a company expanding in Villa Park. So it's organic growth. There's a lot. There's companies that are organically growing that need a little bump to help them expand more. It could be they could be buying new equipment. They could be doing upgrades to their building possibly, and they're going to create new jobs. The goal is new jobs.
Right.
Every new job helps a family.
So, what's the best way that you found to get this information out to the businesses? I mean, do you have programs obviously in place to help the village get that information out?
Yeah, we try to do, we have regular webinars. We have a newsletter that goes out every week. But we try to do webinars, we try to do presentations. It's a big area. This area is a big area, so. And three of us we could always use more people. We're always busy. But there's events around, help us help you, because
Sure.
we could do presentations for companies out here.
Okay.
We like to get out of the office and visit companies.
Sure.
It's
So I
a-
guess following up on that, what are some of the things that you do with other municipalities that could be implemented here that
Right.
you've seen, best practice, if you will?
outreach visits, common retention visits, but
Yeah.
outreach visits with companies.
I mean, we've talked about hosting like corridor meetings for businesses. The business retention visits are what we're currently doing and gonna talk about, I think, continuing.
Some communities have had they have events for the local businesses that might get, the one thing is that might get costly, if you're providing breakfast or something for them, but it could add up. Or even just stuff that won't even cost money, maybe just a presentation where come out here, I come out, maybe a couple other agencies come out and talk about different programs we have for businesses.
Make it part of a night of business type things, or
Yeah,
a portion.
one of them hosts it,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff, get you into the places.
The one thing I've noticed though too is when you do these, make sure you know the industries that are coming out, because we've gone out sometimes to present for communities, or when they set it up and it's the wrong industry. None of these programs we're presenting are
Sure.
gonna be, so we have to come up with something last minute, but we manage, but,
no, I understand.
Dig into the briefcase.
Yeah.
How about this one?
Joe, do you know Chicago, I always get an email, I always thought he was the treasurer, but maybe not. And he runs the cash program where if you have money sitting and you don't know it's there.
oh, that's the treasurer, that's the
President.
Frericks, Mike Frerick.
Yeah, love him. So he started sending emails out. He was the first one. He was the first person in Chicago that would send an email saying, you might have some money. Most cities aren't gonna do that. And he's gotten into sharing about his life and when he was a little boy and his family. They're very interesting. So do you have a list of businesses? Yeah, how do you know who you want to go and reach out to?
We could probably come up with a list of businesses. Typically, it's more so, a lot of it's been communities reaching out to us, going to visit businesses. We're coming up with a more targeted list, and we could definitely come up with a list of targeted businesses in the community. We'd be happy to.
Because he has the email and he has my email, and so he sends this out to everybody, and it's just a really, it's such a connecting community. Like, what other city does that? You feel like this guy's your friend, you know, and I'm wondering if you had that approach where, like you, to answer your question, you know, how do we let them know that you're here?
I have a suggestion, because you said with the corridors, it might not work out in some cases. Could you come out? My suggestion would be to have a demi list of companies that you've worked with that you can actually have, like, this is the kind of company we work with, so that we know that, you know, this size company, this is what they do, and kind of like a, you know,
Puts a name on it, a face with it, you can relate to
who
it.
to you relate to it. If you're not that type, then, you know, you're probably, this is not where you want to be, kind of thing for a particular talk. Like, you know, the average company is, you know, if you have expecting 50 to 100 employees, your average turnaround is this much. Come see us, we want to help you, kind of thing. You know, if you have something like that for different sizes and different purposes, then it'll be better and beneficial, I think, to kind of just report that. It's just too much information otherwise
It is, yeah.
for people to figure out whether they belong to this group or not, right? So
Sure.
you need some kind of, the average company we work with is one that has this many employees, and this is what we can do for you chart. Like,
So
I would almost a chart.
I think more so, like, if we're coming out to present a program, this program is geared towards industrial, manufacturing, distribution, and headquarters.
Yes.
Like something like that.
Yes,
Because,
yeah.
the range of, like, the size of companies are all over the board, like, as far
No,
as.
I understand that, and so I can understand that, but then you will have different programs depending on
Yes,
that.
exactly.
And so I'm just saying, like, when you come to talk to us, it's nice to know, okay, if our community only has this type of program, we can run a talk for them, right?
Correct,
We
yes.
can have you come in for the right purpose. If we don't have companies with 300 employees trying to come in, and we don't, there's no purpose in bringing you out, and it also, the people who come out there, they're just gonna be annoyed, and it's not really helpful.
Do we have?
So, yeah, so we need to kind of have a right match. It's about having a right match. And so if we knew which type of companies in our town you could help, right? If you could even pick out a few that seem like the type.
Sure.
Yeah, like seem like the type that you could help, then we would know, okay, we'll match you
Yeah,
with this
we'll
group.
find, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
find.
yeah, we'll find the group to match
Definitely,
with. And that will also help, I think, get this jump started. Of course, I think, because everything goes through, you know, Mark here, and it just probably, he's gonna be your touch point guy, so, you know, he knows which companies come in and where they are, and he'll probably reach out almost immediately now that he has all this information to both sides, because the first thing people do is come into his office and say, I want to set up a company
So I want to
that
open a
sells-
business.
sells, you know, tiddlywinks, because whatever. It's the thing we liked from the past. It's just how it is. So.
Do we have any locations that you would think that would be in mind, like that are vacant or?
So we definitely have vacant and underutilized.
Right.
Underutilized is probably our number one category, but we have
Okay.
specifically in the industrial areas.
Okay.
Underutilized and, you know, there's a technical term, but I'm just going to call it old and outdated.
Right. Right.
So sorry. We have that. That is a known commodity. I can tell you exactly where those are with pins and property owners and say, here it is. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark, did we ever finish the list of all the businesses that exist?
Not yet. Still working on it.
And
We had we're in the middle of software implementation, and that segued from from what I was working on. So
Would that be helpful if we had that for
yeah, absolutely.
identifying?
Yeah, yeah, it's on the to-do list, so we're gonna get back to it once we're
How
done
long to
implementing.
do this, okay.
It is lengthy. But yes, yeah, an actual updated and regularly updated list of actual businesses is very helpful.
So our website is dceo.illinois.gov. I'll pull this up very quick for you. Oh, sorry.
Is it .illinois.gov?
dceo.illinois.gov. There was also a recently released grant that's, it's a new grant, it's geared towards city-owned businesses, socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. And it's a capital grant. $10,245,000. It's geared towards construction, growth, it's to help the businesses grow, create and retain jobs.
What was that number? 10,000 what?
10,245,000.
Why so weird?
That's
245?
too.
It's not 10,500, not 250, like not 10,000, like why 10,245?
Makes sense.
Yeah, right.
It
Okay.
doesn't really matter, it's above 10,000.
Yeah, it's just,
I hate to
yeah,
say it's
so,
around 10,000.
so that's capital.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
full.
It's
Oh.
geared towards
That's
construction. So there's pretty
a-
much. I mean, it could be buying, purchasing property, purchasing land. But there's
So
like,
that's one that I'm seeing could be bundled with some of our TIF stuff.
That
for-
definitely
for
would be really
improvements.
beneficial to a
There you go.
lot
That's
of our
good.
community, yes.
You put Illinois in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and very small businesses too.
Yeah,
With less than 10 employees.
Put it in.
is a requirement?
Well, it's
Or
so
the-
eligible applicants include businesses owned by socially, economically disadvantaged individuals
Yep.
with a maximum of 25 full time,
Okay, so max
Um,
at 25, okay.
and very small businesses with less than 10 employees.
Yeah,
Also,
This
either-
is totally Villa Park. We
Yeah.
need to-
no, like this is, yeah, these are the kind of ones where that would be, that would be a meeting by itself, right? The
Yeah.
corridor meeting equivalent, we have that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd be happy to come out and do a presentation on it if you want. We could
Okay.
definitely have someone, or even if it's virtual too.
Yeah.
That's fine. We're
I like the in-person, actually meet some of the people over the virtual, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's
It
also more
spurs more
comforting if they know the process and they can ask questions back. I teach virtually all the time, it's not, the
Person to
amount
person
that
is stronger.
definitely 100% better.
It's April 7th is a deadline at 5 p.m. and it's not really a first come first serve basis. It's they're gonna review everything, review everyone.
Who fits the category?
But we're not saying wait till 5 o'clock on April 7th either. 'Cause
No,
I guarantee it's happened before and it's not good for the system.
and when does that open up again?
It's open right now. It's
Open
right
up
after.
again, if they
Oh.
missed that.
I don't know. This is the first time they're running this, so we'll
okay.
see. We'll see.
That's around the corner.
Yeah.
April 7th, 5 p.m.
And then
Well, no, it is around the corner, but it's also people that are thinking about building out something right now. Like if I'm dealing with plan review right now, they haven't spent the money, apply and, okay. What's the review period at your level for, award being,
we haven't
award?
been given a time frame how
Okay.
long they'll take. Even when we give a time frame too, I don't always like put it out there because things might get delayed.
Sure.
It's happened many times, and it
People-
gives people too much hope,
Yeah.
like it's gonna be done by this time, and
Yeah.
people are waiting and waiting, and they put the deadline on that. I don't like having people.
Mad at you?
True, yeah, very true. I got a fun job. I like my job.
Cool.
But there are applications coming in, so let me know when I come out and present.
Cool, yeah.
One of our other programs, the Angel Investment Tax Credit Program. It's a program to spur investment into newer, innovative, high growth companies, and it teams up venture capitalists with newer companies, and these investors can receive a 25% tax credit on the money they put in the company. They can't take majority ownership, that's one rule we have. And these individual investors, they cannot receive more than $500,000 in tax credits under the program. So that's a max of a $2 million investment per investor.
Got it.
Each company cannot receive more than $4 million under this program. They wouldn't be eligible, they have to have less than 100 employees, they have to be in Illinois for less than 10 years.
Okay.
51% of their employees have to be in Illinois, and basically their headquarters have to be in Illinois, which, yeah, that's, but if 51% of their employees are in Illinois, chances are their headquarters are already here.
Okay.
I have a question, like food service that goes into like, would that, like food service that goes into like freezing and, in that sort of, would that be eligible for some of these?
Not really, unless they manufacture, maybe if the equipment, if they have proprietary technology on the equipment, but like, well, if it's some proprietary process or something that they have, it might.
It might, okay,
Yeah,
like,
it's-
because I'm just wondering, like, if they have a proprietary process and they're getting stuff to the grocery store, they're the internal, like they get things to retail, but they
Or the
process
producer.
something and get it into the retail.
It could
It
possibly.
is manufacturing in a sense, but it's
Yeah.
not manufacturing in your the other technical
Yeah,
kind
typically
of.
food, no, but it just depends on the process. It could very well, possibly.
Okay, just a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's another program called the Invent Program, which is it's based on the State Small Business Credit Initiative, and it's a program where the state invests into companies. They put direct equity into companies. And I mean it's a 1-1. So there's an investor and there's the state, and they invest in the company. They put money directly in the company. They take equity. But these programs are just for the companies to grow. It's not to take ownership.
Got it, right.
So what happens with those typically? Is there a buyout at one point? Once the company
We
grows,
haven't gotten it's so new, but
I mean,
yeah.
like, my question is, if they don't wanna take ownership, the state is now
Yeah.
owning a bunch of half
Yeah.
companies,
Yeah, I mean the
right?
money will come back. It'll come back to the state. So I guess not really buyout, but the money it'll
No, I know,
come back
but,
back in equity. to the
yeah,
state.
equity
Yeah.
will come back to the state, and then the state is actually owning a bunch of mini companies, kind of, is what's
I know
happening.
the state don't want. I don't think the
know.
state would want to own companies.
Yeah, so.
If the money comes back and they reinvest it in other companies.
Okay, good information. Does anybody have any other questions before?
And
Joe,
then one
anything
thing
else?
before
Yeah.
I do end this, the Illinois Department of Commerce has a multitude of agencies within the agency. So the Department of Commerce runs a tourism office, the film office, the workforce development office, the Illinois Works office, the energy and utilities office. So there's a lot of, like, these are some of the programs for businesses I've touched on, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more intricacies in our agency that we do outreach for.
Yeah.
So, but it's, any questions you have, I'm gonna leave my card with everybody. Feel free to call me, reach out. My cell phone number's on there too. I'll get back to you. Just if I'm busy, it might take me a bit, but I always get back to you.
Oh,
And happy to work with you.
and I'm sure this probably competes with like local banks and whatnot, but you guys work with local banks at all? Like say somebody wants to go get a loan and they can't get it. Do you guys have a way of, using local banks to help?
Yes and no. So the banks underwrite the loans for us. They have
yeah.
to sign on to the program,
Okay,
but we can't force the bank to bring us into the program.
gotcha.
It's good, it's always good that the person getting the loan knows about the program before they go, so they can ask the banker.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, you never know. There's some bankers that might say, this is a great program. Other bankers might need to learn about it too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not every banker under these programs know about the program.
Mm-hmm.
So we just can't force the bank to bring us in.
Is there a possible list of banks that?
Yeah, it's on the website.
It's on the
Yeah, it is.
website, because
Yeah.
that would make it easy if you know what banks that they're already contracting with.
It's typically, it's community banks.
Okay.
Okay.
Like the big banks are not.
Yeah,
are not a part
really
of the
what I
program.
want. Yeah.
So
But
just
it's a good program. That's why I say
It is.
they should, but there's the community banks, the advantage with the community banks is you can call the president. You get, it's one level up or two levels up. The bigger banks, it's hard to get to the top.
Yeah.
So as part of the redesign of the community and economic development website is going to be streamlining how you get to certain things. So we're going to have an economic development section which has incentives, and TIF is in there, BDT is in there, but then we're also going to be including outsourced links such as DCEO, which we're going to be sending him not to the bottomless pit that he just discussed, but like more specifically to the programs that are more in line with what we have here. So I'm not going to send him to one that is only for 40 acres and $10 million worth of industrial. Like, that's not what we need. But those other ones that we talked about, they're going to be on there, direct links from our site to them. So,
Good information.
that's all part of the strategy for rebuilding out the website.
And you do work with Choose to Page. I remember
Yeah.
talking about that
Yeah.
before.
Yep.
Choose to Page is the economic development wing of DuPage County. We work very closely with Choose to Page
Yep.
also. Good organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, like pair up with something like
Yeah,
that for me.
yeah, they're already buddies, and I'm already
figured.
buddies with them, so let's all, yep, absolutely.
It's about working together and not
Mhm.
not siloed. That's a big thing. It makes things difficult because when we meet with a business and we find out that the community met with the business or the county economic development already met with the business, it's almost like it's burning the company out, having all these people come in at different times. But we all go together, we work together. It's strategize and collaborate. That's the way to move forward.
It also gives them the best fit for their company, because they can choose at once. Doesn't waste
Sure.
anybody's time, most
Yeah.
efficient way of doing things, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to start a company.
It is. It is, and this is all the stuff that has nothing to do with the actual business,
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
This is all the other,
This is the precursor to
Uh-huh.
even thinking about it.
so,
And our small business development centers too are golden. I mean, they're great to work with businesses. They're funded by our department and the SBA. And there's Apex Accelerators, which formerly known as the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers.
Oh.
They assist companies, they guide and counsel companies through the government contracting process. And then our international trade offices, which a lot of them are attached to the small business development centers. They'll help companies who want to export. They'll get them geared up in the process, and then we have an international office within our agency that offers programs. They actually have grants if companies want to go on foreign trade missions they help set up companies, distribution channels in other countries outside the U.S. to help grow the exports. Because Illinois we do well with exports.
So
The trade-
Joe,
what's it?
do you guys work with SCORE at all?
Somewhat, yeah. A lot of the SBD, small business development centers do. We work, our office, sometimes we collaborate with them. Not all the time, but we do work with them. Because we're all on the same mission. We want to help businesses and help businesses grow.
And since COVID, you used to have to go in, meet your mentor locally where you are. Now, I mean, they have really expanded in a healthy way. A lot of webinars now. Like, you don't even meet your mentor anymore in person, but their webinars are really great, really great.
That's great.
So
Yeah,
you mentioned webinars.
Yeah, and they work very closely with the small business development center. SCORE does.
Okay, great, yeah.
Because everyone's on the same mission. Everyone wants to help, and it's good. It's good if there's communication between everybody. Because if it wasn't, everyone would be doing the same thing they burn people out.
It's about incentives to succeed on all sides, and more incentives. The less failure, the better for all.
Great. All right, well, we will definitely take your cards, Joe, and thank you for the,
Yeah, thanks for having me. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Joe.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
Look forward to coming back.
Yes.
yeah.
We definitely look
Pass them
forward to
around.
having
we only have a
you.
couple more things on the agenda, you do not have to leave.
Yeah, you don't have to leave, we got,
Okay.
so,
Yeah,
you want-
stick around.
feel free to stick around. We'll move on to 3B then, discussion of the farmer's market.
So,
I know JP.
yeah, I wanted this added to the agenda because I've been an advocate for the past couple years. I've mentioned it a few times in these meetings. And lately there's been a lot of reaching out to me to really get this going. And what really wanted me to get on the agenda was the Villa Park Chamber of Commerce said they're gonna willing to partner on this and to help with like advertising and promoting it, so we could really start organizing this for like 2026 or something like that. And so I met with the president of the chamber, Kyle, and we talked for like an hour on how to do this, about how to get vendors and whatnot, and we thought about using this commission and possibly the Fun Commission to kind of like work in tandem to, get enough volunteers to set this up initially. Because I can imagine the Fun Commission could do some kind of activities for kids there, and then we could be in charge of getting the vendors and whatnot. And then we talked about locations. We didn't really settle on a location yet, but my personal opinion would be the train station, because there's 900 people a day that come off there, and that's just automatic built-in traffic. And based on other towns, that's where they have theirs as well, because it's just a really good location. You got parking lot right there. And I also think the north side of the town kind of needs some economic development because they're lacking. So, wanted to bring that up for discussion today, see what everybody thought of that.
What day of the week are you thinking?
Like a Wednesday or a Thursday. Yeah.
And how are you thinking that it would be different from the other farmers markets? Because there's that one company that runs a lot of them.
Yeah, I think it would just be a better location if you have the built-in traffic right there.
Yeah.
And you have like two commissions who are in charge of it and, following up with it, because I think it fell through last time because I think the person running the last farmers market just didn't want to do it anymore. So,
It's a lot of setup and takedown.
yeah, it's not
Hey, with those three
Very-
vendors are there.
Yeah, yeah.
I know
But-
previously they had it along Park, it was the
Mhm.
French Market,
Yes.
and somebody who used to work, this is going back many, many years ago. So
Yeah.
I think he'd get off of work by me at like 11 at night from delivering pizzas, and then he had to go set up.
Oh,
They have to be
wow.
set up, like, they do it overnight for Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Was kind of the setup previously, but,
Yeah.
there's always, doesn't have to be like the past.
Are there any other farmers markets in the general
Yes.
area?
Lombard
Lombard.
just started last year.
Did they?
Yeah.
And I believe it's either like Tuesday or Thursday night.
Thursday,
Is
yeah.
it Thursday? Okay.
Okay. So
And then
we would probably aim for Wednesday then.
Elmhurst does one like during the week, on a day at the daytime, like in the morning.
During the day.
Okay, like on the
Yeah.
weekend?
No, in the morning, like Wednesday morning.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think they are shifting to more, it used to be weekend, but now all those have shifted to weekday as, because I think the weekends get so full that nobody wants to be sitting picking up strawberries on a.
Right.
And I know like the fruit truck, they come out, I know Carrie's a big food truck person, they come out and they, in Elmhurst, and you can buy like big, sets of peaches and stuff like that, maybe also tying that in, maybe we can have them come out here too,
So,
Yeah.
couple things. It's a big undertaking of what we're talking about. Just, I'm going to
Yes,
throw that
it
out there
is.
so that
Yeah.
nobody is
Yes, it is.
is
Yeah.
delusional of
Right.
what we're talking about. So, knowing that, I would start with what are the surrounding communities doing?
Right.
Who already has farmers markets?
Yep.
Right.
When are the times and days that they're having them? Because if you double up, now you're just creating direct competition.
Right.
So then you're looking for the availability of when it isn't happening in the surrounding communities.
Yep.
Night versus evening. If you're talking about the train station, which is a viable location, but I don't know if it's the best location. Because if you're having it in the middle of the day, that's not commute time.
Oh, no, I
So,
was
like,
thinking
just-
4 to 7 or something like that.
So,
3 to 7.
right, so, but that's all the things that we gotta think about.
Yeah.
Like, this
Yeah.
is a huge, like,
Right.
you said 2026, thank you. You said 25, like,
No, no.
oh my god. So, like,
Yeah.
that's how long it's gonna take. So
Yeah.
you have to walk down all the steps that I'm talking about, and you have to solidify vendors that
Yep.
will be there every time, because that is their slot, right?
Mhm.
Like, I am here every single time. So, like, the farm that you now have to build a relationship with, this is where they sell in DuPage County. This is their spot, right? So
Yeah,
there's
okay.
all that background that all has to come along with it. So the 4 to 7, yes, right, possible, absolutely. Summer, winter, because there's winter
Yeah.
markets as well.
Yeah.
But now you're talking
To be
outside.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's and, right. You know,
Permitting, weather permitting.
Right.
there's
Yeah.
there's
That's-
weather permitting and there's happening.
Yeah.
So all the parameters, because then
Those are more like Christmas markets, kind of spring up and spring down in the winter generally, I think, than all winter long will be very difficult to run.
they're all types. You're right. There's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Chris Kindle
Kindle, yeah.
equivalent. You're right, but then
Yeah, I
there's
have- I
winter
know
farmers
business
markets
people-
that are indoors
Right.
at
Mhm.
places and stuff. So like, there's so many questions. I'm not opposed, but
Yeah.
man, if we're going down this path,
Well, that's
Okay.
I think just answering the questions is a good first step.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all on board with this.
Yeah.
Now, here's my thought: is the EDC the one to take this on or be part of it? In one way, we have to worry about. We can't. Is there a rule about us being too many of us together at the same point on an unofficial meeting or anything like that? Because it's not
I hear what you're saying.
business.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
working.
You're okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's how the
that's
fund
one
commission.
thing.
They're working
Got
the
it.
event.
Yeah.
But
and-
maybe
Okay.
a different
Yeah.
commission needs to be created for this of a farmers market commission because you know I don't know. It just sounds like
Well, I
it
was
might be
thinking that
more than we
wouldn't,
kind of signed
like,
up for.
Run
You
it.
know, like-
We would, answer all the questions, do outreach to get the volunteers to run it.
okay.
So we wouldn't be actually running it. We'd be us and the fund commission would be working together to get the volunteers, get the vendors, get the
You said the chamber.
Villa Park Chamber of Commerce.
Why aren't they running it?
I could ask them about that.
No,
See if
like-
they wanna,
If this commission spearheads the creation
Mm-hmm.
and turns over a complete package to the chamber and says, "Go run it,"
Yeah.
Right.
that seems like an
That's a good idea.
excellent chamber job.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
And how do we set ourselves
they were
apart
involved
from
before.
other farmers markets? I like farmers markets.
Mm-hmm.
They're okay in our area. I travel around the United States and I often go to many.
Yeah.
And like Wheaton is a good one, that's the French.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to Geneva and Batavia. Batavia is really good. Why? They have music. And where they're located
activities.
on the river. It's not
Scenery,
super
right.
big,
Mhm.
but they have a variety of vendors. Like Wheaton and Geneva tends to be the same vendors. So
Okay.
I don't know how to address all that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Okay,
Right.
saying unique.
I think I have an idea that location wise, because we have summer concerts, we have a crowd coming in, something like that might be a better area for
Cortese.
Cortese.
That's
Might be a
great
better
idea.
area for setup. Though we're gonna have a lot of construction
My
there. and
concern
then-
there is
That's
that there's
26,
already
yeah.
a
Yeah,
lot of events there.
26,
So 'cause they
I
got the
have a
movie
feeling
nights.
that there will be a
Yeah.
nice influx of individuals into that area that might help.
So
Who are looking for that kind of.
it's also
Living.
worth pointing out that that particular location is our event space.
Yeah.
That is the village's
It was
event
de-
space.
Yeah, designed with the
It-
stage and an
exactly.
area.
So
Mhm.
it is also conducive that it's kind of a square.
Yeah.
Where if anyone's ever been to the Woodstock Farmers Market,
Mm-hmm.
the award-winning greatest farmers market in Illinois, like I'm not exaggerating, like it's
I
legit.
didn't know that.
It is on the Woodstock Square
Yeah.
where all the vendors are inside and then the road is shut down and that's your walking path. It's like built directly to it. There's a gazebo in the center, which is also a stage. And then you've got all the flower people that are inside because they don't want to, like, it's a whole thing, right? It's a whole thing. The micro level is Cortez. So
Yeah.
you could remove and replace, shrink down, and make it fit three-way instead of four-way, sidewalk. Like, yes, and that's already our entertainment event space.
Yeah.
New introduction would be at the train station.
Mhm.
Why are we going there? It's not exactly awesome currently.
Well, I mean, that's
it's a
just
space-
where
space. It's a
I
space.
think
It's got
he's-
parking.
To his
Yeah.
to what he's saying is I see it a lot on Facebook. I'm sure we all do. There's this at least perception. I'm not
Yes.
sure that I buy into it that everything is on the south side of town and not on the north. One is Cortese is I think about a 150 or 200 blocks south. So it's not really south side. You know, what I mean, the
Yeah.
address is
I hear you.
pretty central.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, my personal thought, there's really, other than like Lufkin Park and Willowbrook High School, there's not a whole lot on the south side that everybody keeps saying has all the benefit of the south side.
Mm,
So
gotcha.
I think it's
Okay.
more of a perception.
I do feel like the train station, you do have the natural amount of people coming off the train that you would
But you
get
also
there.
have
But
congestion.
you would have the additional congestion that's already.
I mean, that's
congested.
there at that time, which is a double-edged sword of
Uh-huh,
good and
uh-huh.
bad, but it's like if the vendors are trying to get in and out and there's, I know, I think I've read some of your stuff on Facebook about it, like there's the whole parking lot, I don't know if it's being used completely or if there's a space in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
there's a train station parking lot, and then there's like another random lot in the back that's always empty. And was what I was
That's
thinking.
the
I don't know what that is.
brick pavered one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that the village has the rights to use it, but we don't own the property.
Oh, okay.
I think
Just so that we're all on the same page about, I think, where he's talking about or some of
Yeah.
the ideas.
And it's a good idea. Train stations are great ideas. I like Cortese because then it can be a destination. Come there, then they can do other stuff. Go to
Right.
more brewing, blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
You're also on the bike path.
And
Yeah.
bike path.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is huge, I mean, to draw from Elmhurst and.
And if you're looking for a demographic who goes to farmers markets, they also rent bikes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not that far off.
So maybe also have
Good
the
idea.
farmer market, or whatever you wanna call it,
Mm.
on the same night as we have some of the events during the summer.
Yeah,
like-
because they
Yeah,
have the
that's
music.
what I was
So,
thinking.
yeah, movies in the
yeah.
night.
I wasn't sure if it would interfere or if it would be.
So we have to be
in addition
cautious
to
because
it.
setup starts on the movies
Yeah.
and the stage beforehand. Now you are conflicting.
Are the movies at Cortez?
Yes,
now?
they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cortese is used, so it's the looking at the calendar
Mhm.
of everything because we didn't pick a
So I
location,
think
right?
there's
Right.
Thursday nights.
But there's
or-
also.
They are because
there's-
they're after
there's-
planning
There's the
zoning.
movies,
Yeah.
though, there's also the concerts,
Yeah.
there's several
Right.
things that go
Mhm.
throughout the summer, but maybe
And there's-
coordinate it with
Honestly,
that.
keeping it there on a different day is not a bad thing, cause that's already the central location
Right.
people will arrive at.
Right.
There will be a set of people who are like, okay, what will we do at Cortese
Tonight,
today?
right.
And it'll be farmer's
Yeah.
market.
And there is,
Tomorrow will
on
be
the
something else,
weekend,
you
they
know,
do a lot
that's
of
what I
like
would
touch a
think.
truck and yoga and some certain,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of
Okay.
kid things there.
Mhm.
Just to put that out there also, like,
Yeah.
it's not just the
Yeah.
weeknights, but the weekends are.
And I'm not saying it has to be Cortese.
Sure.
There is historic Ardmore,
Mhm.
Ardmore and Park and Ardmore and Central.
Yes,
That intersection as well could be a very conducive linear farmers market as opposed to the square model.
Where
That's
the
how
other
it
one
was
was.
before, that's where it
Mhm.
was.
That's-
That's what it was.
I thought it was at
No, it was at
Yeah, it was
Park,
there.
it was right in front of the gazebo. On
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Oh,
that
West
where-
west of Ardmore on Park.
west of Ardmore on Park. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was there
Cortese-
for years and years, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Cortese
right
is
in front of the
nice.
meteorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in front of
Oh,
the,
okay.
that's,
Okay.
there's still
So,
probably
and
the
then the
little.
other, thing,
I did not know that.
and when we had the farmer's market before, it was the same thing every week, week after week.
Mhm.
Yes,
But
right.
But maybe consider, making each one of them, or maybe a month, make it seasonal. So at the very beginning of the season, it's more plants, vegetables, gardening, and things like that, especially since we don't have Pioneer anymore.
Yeah.
So
Very true.
the focus of it is more, springtime, getting plants, flowers, and things like that, and then you transition maybe into the middle of the summer, like vegetables, maybe towards the fall, more fruits and things like that. So that there's
Yeah.
different
Okay.
kind of themes with it
So
throughout
along-
the season.
Along those lines is that you actually have the grow season.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
it is, you only get garlic scapes in April, but you're only getting pumpkins in October.
Right.
So it has that natural built-in
And then
arc over the
people
season.
will continue to come because I
Something
don't know
different.
what's gonna be there. So I can go there and find out.
Yeah, so
Whereas with the old one, I always knew, this was here and they all had their spots and you knew what it was every week.
they did, and so I want to be cautious because it sounds like you're saying that's a bad thing, but that's also consistency.
It's consistency, but you
But
guys.
quality though, too.
Well, that's a different animal. Quality's different. Let's put quality in a separate category. Consistency that they know that they can always go to the farmers market on Thursday and get what they are going to get here instead of at the grocery store.
I think
You know
we
what I
need both.
Well,
We need a little bit of
some
consistency,
Yeah, yeah,
and we
anchors.
also need what Larry
Yeah,
said.
anchors. That
Anchors are like
anchors is the good.
anchors.
But
Yeah.
could do
it's
that
not
too.
one or
Yeah.
another.
And not to like, I love the idea that Larry's got, but if you keep changing some things, now you gotta find different vendors.
Right,
Like,
right.
It just creates
Like
more,
that.
it
Right.
can be.
More work.
But you don't have a vendor that's gonna have to commit for the entire season. If you're doing just the growing season at the beginning of the French market.
But if they're doing great, they may wanna stay
You know,
there too,
Right, and I would not.
but
I would
I,
not deny them that.
right.
Right.
And the other thing is maybe, reach out to the new food co-op over on Westmore Myers. I know it's
Prairie
in
food
Lombard.
co-op? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They might have some connections with vendors and stuff.
So some of the other farmers markets have specific rules and requirements of who can qualify. I don't know if you guys know this. So like, either you're a straight up farmer,
Mhm.
right? Here's my product, I grew it, here it is. Or you're a value add. I have jelly, value add. I have
Mhm.
candles, beeswax now turns into candles. You're a value
Yeah.
add. They've now gone even further. It's like you are
A craft show within a.
kind of, yeah. You
Yeah.
have now you are now complementary to
Yeah.
that. You have knife sharpening. You
Mhm.
have pottery. You have I don't know handmade jewelry, whatever that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
They've expanded to those to keep it interesting, I think, and that people are like, all right, I always go for my corn and my tomatoes, but like I want to take a lap and it's the same old, same old. But you also have you have a cheesemonger. You've got a butcher guy.
yeah.
You've got like your core things, and then people. But here's the thing: they've all grown into that.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can start there.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Right.
we would stick with food and like
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
I had
Right,
thought
not
like
bite
having
off
like
too much. Right?
No, 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 right.
like one or two local food vendors will
Uh-huh.
serve
Yeah.
you know like
What-
pizza or tacos, and then maybe a local beer vendor that has beer too, so that you know it becomes a hangout. You know.
So yeah, yes, all of that exists.
Yeah.
Then you're now requiring food vendor to follow all the health department requirements for that one-time setup.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of
Temporary
bring,
food permits and that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, instead of
Again,
there's
I
all
Doable.
doable. Just
Doable.
be
There's
aware
more
that when you
planning
make
and
the
more-
suggestions,
yeah.
there's a ripple of requirements
Okay.
that come down the line.
and
Whereas,
agencies
like,
involved.
this is also why people have brought in food trucks.
Yeah.
Because that's the easy box.
That is the easy box.
Right, so like
Yeah.
this is what we're talking about. Is
Okay.
that if you're bringing,
No.
so he's gonna need a hand and eye wash station
Mm-hmm.
under his tent.
And I'm not. To, I,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
hate
You're
to,
an
like,
example, I'm
it's
not-
Certain, no, I
Yeah.
was saying certain events like they can be great, but it is a lot. It's a lot of setup and breakdown to like
Mhm.
So much.
to make it worth your while. Like I shy away from that stuff. Like
Sure.
I'm more of like a weekend thing, or the Summerfest is about like the minimal
Yeah.
I like to do.
Yeah.
Because if you have a bad day, or I mean, it's like it's a lot of time and commitment if you're not.
And if you
Yeah.
you have to set up
Where a food
the
truck just sits
times,
Yeah.
and I'm done.
Yeah.
The times are if you're gonna have food vendors,
Mhm.
is it mealtime?
Yeah.
So like
Yes, yeah.
tying it in at 4 o'clock, there's probably nobody really. But 5, you're starting to get there. 6, but then 7, you're done.
You're done, and it's
But wait, 7, I'm still hungry. You know what I mean? You have to think
I-
about all the things that come
I
into this.
would suggest a possible rotating food truck at that time along with, just for a change. And it would have to be rotational, in terms of style along with maybe, cause they'll take care of the rest of that. So we could add that, but I would start first, very simple with just good old,
yeah. I
produce.
like to start out
Yeah.
simple things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
100%.
please.
Produce and
Yeah. And grow into it.
and beans and,
Yeah.
tomatoes and Indian vegetables. Yes, that's just me. Nobody else wants them, but that's where I'm going.
As one who goes to a lot of different farmers markets, I'll
Yeah.
say, I always look around and see who's spending the cash, who's, those flower people, do you know what I'm talking about? In Wheaton, they're so inexpensive for those gorgeous bouquets. They always sell out. And that's revenue for Villa Park, right? And, but
Point of
also
sale, yeah.
jewelry, there's always women buying stuff at the jewelry table. So I understand start small, but I say add a few of those to start.
I mean, there is a possibility of selling out a craft station kind of thing at that place where, like, all our local crafters make crafts, they sell crafts. Just having one table that varies, because you can't, that's the consistency issue you're coming to.
Yeah.
So more, it may be there, it may not, and it's a table that they can buy to sell at, it would be what I would suggest, rather than have it is there, but we will need stuff that is always there. That's the
Yeah.
consistency part, and that's gonna be your fruits, vegetables, and stuff. So if a crafter wants to buy a table at a particular weekend, which is more likely to happen than someone coming out every weekend with their jewelry, it's not happening. You will also get variety from that. So it would be a bought table. You buy the ability to be there. And that would be the revenue for the village, you
So
buy
like a-
the ability.
Like a pop-up, is that what you're
It's
saying?
a pop-up, it's a
Maybe we
pop,
have a few pop-up table slots.
yeah, and they can buy the ability for that, cause that's how I would address that, I wouldn't, I wouldn't expect a crafter or someone who sells jewelry to come out every weekend, they're not gonna do that. But I could think a pop-up could do that, some pop-up stuff.
So wait, clarify that. So,
We have a possibility for a pop-up slot, and we
Right,
have
but-
just one or two.
clarify the jewelry statement, that you're saying that they wouldn't normally, clarify what you're saying.
I'm trying to say that the same person may not wanna come to the same place
Yeah,
every
okay.
weekend. So they may wanna come to
Do
Wheaton
something
one
like this
weekend,
down
and they
there.
might wanna come to Villa
JP
Park one
one.
weekend, and they
I
might
think
wanna
so.
pick some other day to go to
think
Well, they're
Lombard.
gonna
told
go
themselves.
where they know the money is to be made, that is
Two
for
members
sure,
show up.
and
Yeah,
they'll wanna show up every
but
Take the
week.
time
if
to
you
work with staff
sold
if
to a
necessary.
particular place, you may
Yeah.
not have the demand you
Spearhead this
need,
thing,
right?
it's not
So you
full.
will
Yeah.
Report
tend
back
to
it.
rotate,
Sounds
cause
good.
your demand will rotate. So that's what they may wanna do, so having that slot is better than trying to lock in someone for that slot, That also gives us variety, one day it might be
It's a good idea.
jewelry, one day it might be candles, one day it might be,
No, I like-
slime.
Yeah.
And realistically, it'll be easier to
Makes
probably
sense.
find one or two that'll rotate out and stuff, because there are plenty of
One day someone might just sell slime,
crafters,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, at FTC, that slime goes like crazy. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
What's
All right, well,
crazy.
it does sound like we got a lot of positive information, everybody's kind of behind it.
Yeah.
How about creating a 2-member subcommittee? JP, you could probably be one of those.
Okay.
And if somebody else would like to volunteer, and then, you can work with staff and get that going.
Sounds good.
But it is,
Yeah, so it's, feasibility, some of the questions I raised, actually, taking the lead and
Yeah.
answer some of those questions
Okay.
and doing
Yeah, for sure.
that groundwork.
I could help out as well. if you want.
John, okay,
All right.
wonderful.
Nice.
Do we need to take a vote on that, or?
There it is.
No, it's
No,
because
okay.
it's not a 3-member where we would have to schedule meetings.
Okay.
They're working on a project, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to talk
Um,
about that we?
During that sit down, we also talked about the food truck festival as well. But I don't know if that's on the agenda. Maybe I do it as a commissioner comment or.
Okay. Do it as
Does
a
that make
commissioner
sense?
comment,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Then seeing no more discussion on farmer's market, we can move on to public comments. Joe, that could be you again, if you have anything else you want to say.
Farmers market advice.
No, I've actually outside of work, I have worked on farmers markets, and an organization I'm involved with. I live in Elgin, and we help set up and take down the farmers market. I was gonna suggest too. I don't know if you do utilize nonprofits for set up and take down, but they do that in Elgin.
Okay.
We did
That
that. We
would
did
be
that a
great,
lot.
too.
Yeah.
We were doing that
In the
every week.
chamber?
Chamber, exactly. Yeah.
I like these key back to the Okay.
But it's good. It's good. Some of these newer nonprofits get their name in the community, and they get their names on. Maybe they give them a free table. That's
Yep.
what they did with.
Okay.
The word out.
Probably use churches too.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
churches, and we have the
Yeah.
Islamic Foundation, we
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
I think there's quite a few
That's a great idea.
newer.
Yeah.
I think once you dive into, you'll see that, whoa.
Yeah, it opens
Yeah.
up.
Once you open it up, yeah. And we'll work, I'll give you some context to Woodstock and some other ones that
Okay.
you can.
And
Well,
nonprofits are good also, I think, because then you bring that community in,
Mm-hmm.
whoever belongs to that community, and they're the worker bees of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
They're the
doers.
worker bees,
Great.
We got voluntold. That's what happened. We got voluntold.
All right, well then we'll move on to commissioner comments. Start on my right with John, if you have anything tonight.
I have none.
JP, back to you.
Yes, during that same meeting with Kyle, I mentioned the food trucks, and he was much more excited about that than the farmers market. Unfortunately, I had this added to the agenda before the food trucks. So, and so he's really gung ho and helping out with that too. And so, like, our idea was having like 3 or 4 at Ardmore, 3 or 4 at Villa. And that way, you're kind of building that corridor of traffic there and capturing a lot of the bike traffic.
Cool.
And we've already got a list of like 20 food trucks going.
Okay.
So we've got that part done. He's setting up a meeting with Manager Harline about how to get all the permits, fees, and all that
Okay.
stuff, because it's gonna be like on Park and Central. So we're gonna have them parked next to the
Historical
prairie
site.
path,
Oh, okay.
and then we would have to shut down one side of each street,
Mhm.
and then, so there's, those things going on.
So is that like just a separate fun commission kind of
Yeah.
event?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly,
yeah.
and
Oh,
we
yeah,
wanna
I
make
think
it
that's been-
permanent,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So,
like it.
Is that like a weekly thing?
So
or
we're gonna start off with an event, and if it's really good, then we're like, okay, let's think about doing this weekly.
Okay.
And then we could set up some kind of online portal where we don't even have to go after the food trucks anymore. They could just sign up because they know, oh, this is the place to go. There's all this traffic here, and they'll just sign up.
So were you
Show up.
thinking of possibly like piggybacking on concerts in the park or?
Yeah, they'd be there like Saturday and Sunday, maybe the entire weekend, just being there.
Oh, you're thinking weekend.
Oh, weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
A weekend
Okay,
thing.
so concerts in the park
On
is the
Thursday.
Thursdays in the summer.
Yeah.
And that's
We-
monthly.
Right.
Yeah, I
Well-
mean, we could do stuff at the gazebo in tandem with the food trucks. So
And who does the food with the concerts at the park usually?
VFW.
We have
They do
to,
the hot dog.
yeah, just
Ugh,
like hot dogs.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry. Wish they'd all-
Yeah, well, yeah.
Redacted statement.
but this would be like good food trucks that are. Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Question, Kyle,
Yeah.
who's Kyle?
He's the president of the Villa Park Chamber.
Kyle Schnell.
Yeah, and he's
Okay.
being really aggressive and trying to get more activity here.
And are you talking about food truck festival right now? What were you talking
We
about
could do that
just now?
2025. That could be a quick turnaround, I think.
And that's the 1 day special event.
Okay.
1 day special
Festival.
event.
Let's
Okay.
see how this
And then
goes.
see how it goes, and if it's
Oh,
good,
okay, great.
then we could make
Would there
the
be
plan
anything
for-
else to bring the draw or would it just be food trucks?
I mean, we could have like kids' activities, of course, because you're going to be riding the prairie path, so you could have, I don't know what to bring there,
Do
but
you wanna tie up with another event? Like Summerfest or one of the other events? Or do you not?
Well,
I-
Summerfest,
yeah.
that, you couldn't park along Central and Park. I mean, on a good Summerfest, there's cars parked
No,
all the way
I'm
to
just
the
wondering,
land.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of
if
defeats the
if
purpose
it's
of
gonna be
having
a
a.
totally
Why do
separate
we have
event,
food
that's
vendors?
fine too,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
separate
Yeah,
event.
no, there's
Yeah.
gotta
Like,
be thought there.
Food truck festival, Villa Park, 20.
like our imagination got wild talking about it because we're talking.
What
about
about-
every weekend we could always have
Like
bands
the July
every weekend and
4th-ish
stuff
time
like that,
is a good time,
So,
near there. That would be a possibility too,
Yeah.
right? Like holiday timing of sorts, but before
Which holiday?
July 4th.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Summer. Okay. Again, I would look at the calendar list of DuPage County and see what isn't being capitalized by someone that isn't significantly larger than us. Like,
Yes.
don't have it at the same time as the Naperville Rib Fest.
Right, I was,
You know what
I was
Like-
gonna say that
Oh,
exact,
yeah.
we did
Even
for
go
like,
too fast.
way back in 2003, we did something called Pipes and Pies through Michael Anthony's with
Yeah.
a motorcycle show, bands, so we did it over the 4th of July weekend, because we were always closed. And we did it, that is, I think, when Rib Fest was, and Taste of Chicago, and it was like impossible to get
Yes.
beer vendors to donate the
They're like, I don't-
equipment,
I don't
and
have
like,
the
it's
keg.
already, all that stuff is already earmarked.
You have
So
to look
something
at
to think about. I'm gonna play devil's advocate because I own a brick and mortar as well. My thing on food trucks are, I've gotten better with them, but
Yeah, I understand.
it sounds pretty good for like a day or once a week type thing. But for me, that sounds something that would be great up at, the train station. But I know you
So-
wanna have the
I
bike
kinda
path,
think it would
the
bring
bike
you more
path
business,
and that,
though.
the bike
So-
path and that.
more,
So-
more traffic.
Yes and no,
Yes
because
and
they're
no.
coming to that.
Yeah.
So they're coming to try the 20, or,
Mhm.
not really, but you know what I mean. They're, look at the variety,
Yeah.
which means they aren't going to the brick
Gotcha.
and mortar. They're coming for this. That's the
Right.
event.
The brick and mortar
Yeah.
are every
Yeah.
day.
Exactly, it's there. Now maybe someone's coming here to see this. They didn't know you existed. You get that, but they're not coming
agree.
that day.
I agree, and I mean, you
Yeah.
can try and compete a little with it or something, or tie into it.
Right.
I mean, that,
Yeah.
like become part of it.
And this isn't obviously.
There'd be a way we could set it up to say, hey,
I'm
visit
just
these
giving you
local
my 2 cents
businesses
as-
that are right
Yeah.
down the street.
And this isn't obviously
Yeah.
the food truck planning session, but
exactly.
but separating them between Villa and Ardmore
Mhm.
means you're having two different events. There's too much space in between for
Right.
people to
Right.
be like, I'm going to go to this
Go
one
walk.
and then walk down that I
Mhm.
don't have my bike to go to the other one.
Yeah.
So following his thoughts is that maybe it is
Maybe have
at
it
the
be
Ardmore
at-
where there isn't as many actual restaurants.
Yeah.
Very good.
And
Well,
you
Whereas
why
you
not
know
at
you've got-
Lufkin?
What?
Why not do something at Lufkin?
Well, you're kind of.
You could, but then you have to expect everybody to walk because there would not be parking because the food trucks would be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you'd be
I'm
like-
just asking.
yeah.
I mean,
No,
like,
that's-
just we don't do anything at Lufkin. It's
That
just
is the
an event space.
logistical problem with that. Is
Yeah.
hosting there is that the parking lot is the only place where you could do
Right.
it, and then there's not street parking. So you're only inviting
And that's
And
where
walkers.
your
the food
art
trucks
space
are
is
taking up the.
My
Exactly.
initial intent was just to have it at Ardmore, so that's
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
so if you're in that area, Ardmore,
Mhm.
yeah.
historic Ardmore, which is what we're calling it from here on out, right?
Mhm.
And then it's not invading on the villa brick and mortar because it's its own thing,
Well,
right?
the eateries there. I mean, there are people. There's
Yeah, but they have their
Not
own
food.
food trucks, but
Yeah.
they actually bring food trucks on the weekend.
Because they're not a restaurant.
Right,
They're
right. They
they're
bring-
a brewery or a
I mean, I'm just
meatery.
saying,
But
there-
yeah.
No, I got you.
and more deli is there now too. So in that corner,
More,
so
yeah.
it's not that we're not affecting brick and mortar,
Mhm.
but if it's a one-time thing,
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
why
not.
not?
I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think there's a
I'm
fine
playing
line,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we
Fine
how do we
line.
navigate that?
Right,
And
for
I
sure.
think yeah.
Then you could have a band at the food.
Has anyone had the pleasure of meeting Johnny, the new owner of MCC Motorcycle? On
New
Villa?
owner?
Yeah,
Okay.
the brothers sold it and they
No,
had
I-
it for like
it was-
50 years.
Okay.
About a year,
He's been there a year.
but
Or
still
more.
new, but about a
Yeah.
year. Yeah.
Okay, this guy is fabulous. He is the entrepreneur of entrepreneurs. He's a wild, creative idea guy. He's a pretty young guy for being able to buy this, and he has another place in the city. But he has wild ideas because he's got that space, right?
Mhm.
And he would be very open to having any discussion. I don't know, food trucks, motorcycles. Apparently BMW motorcycles in St. Charles closed, and so I think he's going to be going in that direction and having them
Yep.
instead of just Ducati. But he's a interesting, open, loving guy, and I highly
And he's got some space.
And,
Yeah, he's got
exactly.
space
And-
for it,
and
yeah.
so that's
And it's-
another beautiful point is that put it on private property so it's not on village roads and you have less of the permitting nightmare.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he would be open to any kind of
Yeah.
discussion.
Okay.
Another subcommittee. No.
Yeah. That sounds like you're working with just Kyle
Yeah.
because it's gonna be a chamber event.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's good.
but yeah, they're cool. There's a couple out there where some municipality with a chamber they partner together. They're like every year we have the food truck festival. I go to some of them. I love food trucks, but like
Mhm.
it's an event. I've never seen it evolve to the weekly at the scale that you're suggesting. Man, that's a lot.
Schaumburg did have a weekly one for a time, I think. And I lived in Austin, Texas, and they had one that was weekly.
Austin is big.
But Austin is special.
Austin's
So-
a special place.
Austin,
Villa
Villa Park.
Yeah.
There's just-
Well, I'm trying to-
you're right.
I have to
by
get
Southwest.
DuPage County.
Exactly.
I mean, you could probably
Summerfest.
do,
Thank
in
you.
the city of Chicago, you could easily do a weekly.
Different
one.
animal.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a different
Agreed.
animal.
Yeah.
But we
Agreed.
are in Villa
Tourists.
Park. I think,
You gotta scale it.
we can start small
Yeah.
and
That was
start
the
with
intent,
and then go from there.
Even big, but once.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like go
Because
huge, but
people
once.
spend-
Get all 20
They're not going to
once.
come weekly.
Right,
You know,
and then
I'll
you're
do
like,
it
all right.
today.
So, yeah.
What worked, what didn't work, you learn.
It
It's a
beco-
pilot program.
Exactly.
It
Right.
becomes
Exactly
a
right.
substitute for Taste of Lombard, which is no longer there. Or
Sure.
Taste of, whatever. Now it's Taste of Villa Park.
Sure.
That's what
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
But we call it Food Truck Festival, so we don't
Whatever.
conflict.
Yeah.
So, because
Yeah. So you're seeing
Summerfest is not allowed anymore. either.
similar but different. I don't know if you're seeing other municipalities are rolling out their own restaurant weeks as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
stealing the Chicago model and rolling it out at the
Yeah,
suburban
that
level.
I saw
You
in
get
Elmhurst.
a
I
stamp
really
card,
like
so
that.
you go to all
Mm.
20 plate. It's
Mhm.
it's Pokemon for restaurants. Gotta collect them all. Like it's the gamification.
We
so that you go out there.
absolutely
Why not?
should do that.
I love
There
it.
is
Well,
no
that's-
reason not to do that. That's the most interesting idea I think came out of this because I saw that in Elmhurst.
That's been back pocket for so long. I'm sorry.
Wait for the right moment.
Oh, sorry.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I got a whole- I got plenty of
and
them.
it's easy to do, and I think it's a very
Yeah.
supportive of our
It is.
local
Yes.
restaurants that are brick and mortar.
Yeah.
We have, and it gets us, gets some people going to places they'll never have gone
Yeah.
to. And I think
sure.
we could probably just through a QR code and, you know, you get
Oh, yeah.
10 of these, you know, I
You
don't know what
digitize.
yeah, digitize it and go.
Absolutely.
I saw that in Elmhurst. I was like, I was gonna try it in Elmhurst just to see how it is. But I think Villa Park can learn, and it needs to learn that particular thing.
Can we
Yeah.
tie it in with Lombard, who has some nice restaurants?
I mean, you could.
You know, we were all
So what
talking
happened to
about
start
what we
small?
wanted
I thought
to
we were
see
starting
from
small.
restaurants.
I'm
What are you
multi-jurisdictional
saying
now.
about
Yeah,
our
no,
park
big.
restaurants right
We,
now?
we have had that discussion.
Killing me. Yeah, so I like it, love it. I'll be there, right?
Yeah.
But let's to scale is my only
That makes sense,
encouragement to scale.
Anything, any other comments?
Yeah, what else are you? What else are you heading over there?
Got it. Do you have any comments? Okay. Larry?
No.
Patrice?
Just if you need a reserve person,
For the subcommittee?
yeah.
Nice.
And I mean, I don't want to say anything about gender, that word, but, you know, just a different, you know, our brains think different than your brains sometimes.
Yeah, I actually agree with that, yeah,
So it
okay,
can be a reserve
okay.
if you need.
I don't have anything to say or any comments myself. Village Board liaison comments?
I think I've said it all.
Okay.
Like, I'm very good at jumping right in. It's not like
This is
I
one of our
wait.
longer meetings, huh? Staff liaison.
Yep, I've got an update. The draft comprehensive plan is available for public comment right now. We released it last Friday for public comment. It will be open through March 14th, which is a Friday. There is also an open house on the comprehensive plan February 26th, 5:30 at the VPRC multipurpose room. It's a true open house. There's no presentation. We're there to answer questions, solicit additional feedback, but there's no dog and pony show. It's true open house. Come at 8 if you want, right? And then the formal approval process is that there will be a public hearing on it at the Planning and Zoning Commission on March 13th, and then it'll be in front of the village board April 24th for a vote.
March 18th or 14th, did you just say?
March 13th for the public hearing
hearing is on
at
the
the
13th.
Planning and Zoning Commission, who will make official recommendation to adopt or adopt with amendments or whatever. And then it'll go to the village board for final adoption on April 24th. And the idea is that on May 1, we have a complete, final printed for public, publication document. That's our,
Throwing the new board out there with the new.
there you go, rock and roll. So,
Rock and roll.
That's the comprehensive plan?
Correct.
So how
That's the comp plan.
often,
So you're
is
saying
that
I need
every
to read it?
5 years? Or,
The-
All I
because
wanna
there was
talk
a
about is the farmer's
2020,
market.
was there?
2009 was the last approval of a comp plan.
Okay.
And so usually at the 10-year mark, you look at updating. On this particular one, we did not go with the update. We went with a brand new plan.
Got
it. Too many discrepancies. Let's start fresh, right? New ideas, new leadership, all that good stuff. It's on our website on one of the tickers on the bottom. You can get directly from there. If you want hard copies, I can print you guys hard copies. It's an 11 by 17 document, just a heads up. But I have no problem if you shoot me an email.
How
ask
many
you a print.
pages approximately?
62.
Okay.
62 pages. There is some very good economic development stuff in there. So go take a look. It's not just, planning stuff. There's we got into it. There's the 6 sub areas, 3 nodes or 3 districts, 3 corridors. That's the Uptown, Historic Ardmore, Old Town. You'll get there.
It's gonna take me a
You'll
long
get
time
there.
to get.
Yeah. Branding and
I
marketing.
need them written on the wall so I
Yeah.
can keep seeing them.
There you go.
Yeah, branding and marketing and those economic development ideas are in the comp plan as well. It's not just we want to see houses here, we want business here. No, it gets to a
Great.
level that really, really solid stuff. So, it's available. So open feedback on it. So that's my
Okay.
comment.
Pat, do you have anything this evening? With that, if anybody else, if there's nothing else, if we could get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
In a second. Second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right.
Sweet.